Milała Linijka.
Yo hablo español.
Ja pričam srpski.
Nihongo wa hanashimasu.
Je parle français.
Ik spreek Deutsch.
How do you see the state to foreign language education in this nation?
The state of foreign language education in the United States is a step above pathetic.
Communicating well is a gift. The ability to do so in another language is even more amazing. For centuries, learning foreign languages has been essential for correspondence between the world's inhabitants. However, ever since the start of the information age, English has become almost universal, being utilized in most countries even where English isn't an official language. Even in America, the most ethnically diverse nation in the world, some people believe that foreign language education isn't important.
In America, we should speak English. I don't think I should be paying my taxes for someone else to learn the language.
This is most clearly represented in our education system, which varies from state to state. For example, in the Millard Public School System, school board members recently decided to cut $1.3 million from next year's budget. More than $191,000 are to be cut from foreign languages. The cuts were made to programs that, quote, failed a cost-benefit analysis and lack a clear mission-related need.
Clearly, attitudes need to change about the importance and relevance of foreign languages in the U.S. In order to change, we must first consider two questions. First, let's take a look at how foreign languages are currently undervalued in America. Unfortunately, the situation in Omaha mirrors what's happening in schools across the country. In the United States education system, foreign languages are often viewed as secondary. Only a few years of study are required for graduation, and students can easily pass without actually learning much. They learn vocabulary and verb conjugations for sure, but many schools don't stress the importance of culture, beliefs, and actually applying the language.
Foreign language education is viewed much in the same way as, arts or musical education. It's seen as something secondary or extracurricular. If you have time in your schedule to do something extra, it's not seen as core curriculum or something that's essential, something as being part of a well-rounded education. It's something for kids who have, a little extra time, a pastime.
As a result, without learning its significance or putting it into practice in a study abroad-like environment, United States students don't see the importance of the language they are required to take, especially since their environments are so America-centric.
English as being the holy grail, it's the number one, it's our primary focus. We don't see the need to be global. We don't see the priority as being members of a global economy, of being members of a world that values being a polyglot. We don't prioritize being multilingual. We don't see the need to live in other countries and to function in other languages. We don't see the priority to value membership in other cultures.
In addition, foreign languages are started too late in American schools. While many start during middle school, European and Asian schools start teaching their children foreign languages as early as elementary school. This is in part because these foreign schools recognize the importance of the critical period of language. Coined by psychologist Noam Chomsky, the term critical period of language refers to a limited window of time in which people can learn to speak, write, and read fluently. The period ends before adolescence starts.
Okay, Noam Chomsky believed that we all have a language acquisition device in our brain. Some psychologists will call it universal grammar. And the idea is that we all have this device in our brain that allows us to learn any language. And the idea of language is that all language essentially has the same set of skills needed. It's just kind of a universal grammar. But part of that is, though, Noam Chomsky believed, is that there's a critical period. And the critical period states that certain tasks, especially language, need to be developed before this critical period, which is usually puberty. Now, foreign language becomes a little bit different here. You know, as a little kid, you know, if I was going to be a good parent for my son, I would start teaching my son Spanish or German or French now as he's learning English, because he has this universal grammar, he has this language acquisition device, and it'll be much easier for him to learn the language. However, most students don't start taking a foreign language till middle school. It's not impossible for them to learn language, but they have passed that critical period, or they're right around that critical period, so it becomes more of a challenge. And like myself, in my upper 30s, almost 40, if I wanted to learn a new language today, it'd be very difficult, because I'm obviously well past the critical period and so forth. But Noam Chomsky believed that we have this critical period, and we have this language acquisition device to learn all languages.
This lack of interest and bad curriculum planning, combined with poor funding, helped to create a negative attitude towards foreign languages shared by most, if not all, of the United States.
There's such a struggle over how we're funding our schools. I think it comes down to we only want to fund what we can show test results for. I think that high stakes testing and textbooks companies want, you know, something that's known as, you know, data-driven results. They want scores for math and language arts. And sure, you can show data for language testing scores, but I think when you look at curriculum that's effective and you look at language programs and kind of whole education, the kind of education that embraces bilingual education, it's not what they're looking for.
We can already see the decay of foreign language programs in diverse areas such as New York. In a New York Times article on local schools, they write that programs are being cut left and right. This is happening despite vocalized parental opposition. At this rate, who knows what the state of the valuable assets of foreign languages will be in the coming years.
However, these flaws in the American education system are not the only things contributing to the overall negative attitude towards foreign languages. Some of these factors are, unfortunately, inevitable. First, there is an expansion of English throughout the world. As stated before, English has become more widespread since the start of the 20th century, and now it is even the unofficial language of the Internet. Second, this country is too homogeneous in some areas to necessitate learning more than English. As we can see from this map data gathered in the year 2000, we have French in the south and northeast, spots of German in the Midwest and West. And although Spanish is basically ubiquitous, no one bothers to become fluent.
We have students who are Indian and Irish, their families are Gaelic, they're Italian, they're Mexican, you know, they're French, but they don't speak those other languages at home, or they do, but we don't teach those languages at school, or we don't emphasize bilingual education. And that's a shame. If they grew up in other cultures or in other countries, they could go to schools where they could take those classes, you know, in a variety of languages, and that's sad.
After all, what are someone's chances of interacting with another who speaks something other than English, especially in an isolated area in such a huge country? Now, let's compare this map with Europe. For example, one can travel 4 hours by car in Europe and find a completely new culture and language in a different country. But if we travel for 4 hours in the United States, one can still be in the same time zone or region, let alone the same country. As we can see, Texas, which covers a decent-sized portion of our country, can also cover a huge part of Western Europe. Thus, these differences between the United States and other countries, English expansion, and geographic isolation contribute to the overall negative attitude towards foreign languages.
Now, having answered how foreign languages are ignored in the U.S., let's continue to discuss why the benefits of learning them outweigh the perceived disadvantages. As English is most likely not the first language of foreigners, communicating with these people efficiently and clearly in the language they understand best is key. Therefore, foreign languages are necessary for Americans to keep up with globalization trends. Now, following along can hinder the overall growth of individuals. In a time where English is seemingly more universal, the world is simultaneously becoming more connected socially, digitally, and economically. In addition, speaking a foreign language has many derived benefits to the individual who better interpersonal relationships, speaking skills, and more. With these 2 points in mind, let's take a closer look at how foreign languages help in riding the globalization wave.
As a result of globalization, being proficient in a foreign language is becoming increasingly important. And globalization is speeding up. The world's economy has always been interdependent to some degree, but with the advent of the information age, technology has made the world smaller. Travel is easier, faster, and more efficient. So not only do more and more people now seek to travel and vacation abroad, but the business sector has also become incredibly multilingual and borderless. The extreme growth of multinational companies across countries and continents, cultures, and communities demands multilingualism. With these facets combined, individuals from diverse language backgrounds now interact constantly. In terms of foreign language in the business world, bilingual individuals are incredibly valuable. Hal Johnson, senior advisor and former chairman of Global Human Resources at Korn Ferry, agrees when he points out that a recurring theme of staying ahead in employment competition is to learn foreign languages. Multilingual employees are simply more valuable to corporations in most cases. Ultimately, individual foreign language development on a small scale would lead to important improvement on the global scale. Imagine the efficiency if workers spoke the same language as their business counterparts. Individual advancements would help not only the corporation, but it would also improve the health of the global economy. Additionally, it is necessary to dispel the rumor that foreigners know how to speak English proficiently. Contrary to popular belief, this is not always the case. According to the EF English Proficiency Index, which measures English skills in adults in various countries, many countries of importance to American business and foreign policies score low. For instance, Russia is ranked as low proficiency and is ranked 36th out of 63rd. Saudi Arabia, being extremely influential in the oil business, is ranked 59th. These countries are extremely vital to have in our good standing. The examples are endless. Thus, Americans planning to live and work in a connected world must recognize the importance of foreign languages. Arvind Cherry, managing principal of Atlas Real Estate Partners, even states that individual advancements can help the corporation they're working for prosper overall.
People who study foreign languages have also demonstrated improvements in biological and behavioral areas. In terms of cognitive performance, students who know at least one other language are better at multitasking than those who do not. These bilingual students also demonstrate attention spans 20% longer than monolingual students, and children born into bilingual homes show, quote, superior cognitive ability and tend to score higher on IQ tests later in life.
Another term related to learning a new foreign language would be fluid intelligence. Now you have 2 terms, you have fluid intelligence, you have crystallized intelligence. Crystallized intelligence is the hard, concrete facts that tend to increase as we get older in life. Whereas fluid intelligence is being able to process things quickly, very fluidly, especially new things. Well, as you're younger, you have more fluid intelligence, and as you get older, especially in your 60s and 70s, fluid intelligence starts to decline. Therefore, as you're, say, elementary school, middle school, high school, where your fluid intelligence is really peaking, it's much easier to learn new things, be it technology or a foreign language. And so therefore, kids tend to grab onto a foreign language, or even sign language or anything, earlier because they can learn quicker, they learn new things, and they can adapt to different situations.
These improvements are clearly reflected in professor and psychologist Ellen Bialystok's 2009 study that showed children with 5 to 10 years of bilingual exposure, quote, averaged higher scores in cognitive performance on tests and had greater attention focus, distraction resistance, decision making, judgment, and responsiveness to feedback, end quote, compared to monolingual children. In addition, students with just 1 year of foreign language study score an average of 38 points higher on the SAT compared to students with no foreign language experience. There are several biological benefits from learning a foreign language as well. According to Kathy Price, a neuroimaging researcher and analyst at the University College London, bilinguals have more gray matter in their brain, which is linked to vocabulary acquisition. Gray matter helps the brain work faster and more efficiently, and the more, the better.
You could go to school and you could study multiple languages from the time that you were in kindergarten, and your brain develops at an accelerated rate. All the research indicates that your brain actually is higher functioning, and it's bigger and it's better. For lack of a better, more scientific word, your brain actually develops at a higher rate, at a faster rate, at a more advanced rate if you study languages, or if you study music, or if you study math. And for some reason, that research has fallen on deaf ears in this country, and it's too bad.
Knowing another language also allows people to utilize Broca's area better and think more creatively.
In terms of the brain, one area of the brain is called Broca's area. And Broca's area allows for fluid speech. And to go the opposite side here, if someone had Broca's aphasia, they would understand, you can understand the meaning of what they're trying to say, but it'd be very choppy. And so someone with a foreign language, they're probably utilizing Broca's area more, because with Broca's area, it's allowing them to speak very fluid, getting the words out in a very smooth way, and therefore the more foreign languages you use, the more you probably have to utilize it in terms of different speech. Also with the brain is a term called plasticity. Now plasticity is our ability to make new connections with our brain. Well, the more you learn, be it a foreign language, the more plasticity, the more connections you're going to have in your brain, therefore utilizing different things. If you want to learn a third language, you're probably more adept to learn a third language because of plasticity, where you have English, maybe it's Spanish, and then you pick the third one up. You've already had these connections, and therefore plasticity would help you learn that third language easier.
Lastly, we have the unwritten, priceless benefits that you don't find in other studies, the formation of strengthened interpersonal relationships. With learning a foreign language, one has the ability to create a bond, and also limitless possibilities of self-growth and improvement. When people first break that language barrier, they open themselves up to create a bond like no other they have ever had before. Relationships like these constitute an invaluable exchange of cultures and experiences that can help people become more well-rounded and self-actualized.
Foreign languages are deeply important in many aspects. Given the astonishing potential to communicate that comes with learning a language, why is it that our education system often fails to provide the necessary curriculum and opportunities that our students need? The benefits are clear and numerous, so why is it that we have not embraced the importance of foreign language? Culturally, for one, we may not be prepared to take on tongues that differ from our own, and our citizens may not see the direct benefits to their lives, but this must change. The world is evolving. Internationally, language barriers and cultural lines are softening, and because of our inability to vigorously pursue foreign languages domestically, we are not prepared to take advantage of that. Both individually and society, we, as a result, lag behind the rest of the world. And is that really the light in which we want to be seen, or rather heard? When we travel abroad to Europe, South America, Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and everywhere else in between, do we really want to be the tourist and business people perpetually stereotyped for our monolingualism? Or do we want to be better than that, the exact opposite, the conscientious business people that never even need a translator, and the visitors respectful to local norms and the culture? America must make an effort to dissolve that stereotype and to redefine our identity, both at home and in all the dictionaries of the world.